This conference will now be recorded.
We're going to get started. My name is Jan Intrican. I'm a project coordinator with the Mississippi Public Health Institute and would like to welcome all of you here. Today, Sandra Morrison, who is a Training and Technical Assistance Coordinator, will also be presenting. If you are unable to hear me, just send a message in chat. Hopefully we've got the volume where everyone can hear, and also please remember to mute your phones on your end or mute your computer because we will hear the feedback. And most of you have already done this. As you've seen on the chat function, we ask that you type in your name and your organization in the chat function so we kind of know who's here. Our process today, we did provide a handout over email that we hope everyone has with them. It will be very helpful for you to follow along with that. We also hope that everyone is actually on the webinar and not just calling in. It's probably not going to be very helpful if you are on the phone only, because this will be a demonstration of the new system. And I think you probably heard that we are recording this, and we will make it available on the MSDH website along with the RFT and other webinars that we have recorded. The handouts will be there as well. You will see the website address in red at the top of this agenda. All right. Anything else on the introduction? So we're very excited about the new grant application management system, of which if you've been on any of our previous webinars, the RFP, we've told you about. And today this is an introduction, we're just going to run through some of the basic parts of the system, starting with how you actually register. I'm sorry, let me back up. I want to talk about a few, and I'll try not to just read this out so you can see it on the screen if you have the handout. There are some new terms that are associated with the system that we will use, and I'm using one of them now, system, and we use that interchangeably with what we're calling GAMS, Grant Application Management System. And we use the term program, that is the term for the 7 available grants. And some of this was in the system already, so it's not something we could have changed and used our terminology. So we wanted you to know when we're using certain words, we use program, that means grant program. You'll notice as you go through and do your application, you'll see where it says stages, and that simply is the application stage, review stage, etc. And the only one that you as an applicant will be involved with is the actual application stage. And then task, each application has several tasks, and that's the different parts of the grant application, and they're spelled out very clearly. There's help me, Sandra, there's the
organization information.
There's the organization information,
narrative.
There's the budget narrative, there's the project narrative, there's the budget. All of that is a task, and you'll see that on when you're logging in as an applicant. user, applicant, subgrantee. We use all these terms interchangeably. It's you. You're the user, you're the applicant, you're the subgrantee. And so we wanted to make sure that, because as we talk, we still use some of a lot of these terms interchangeably as well, and we're learning them as well. So, but to actually register in the system, the website address, I have it on here, and you'll simply go into that website address. You come to what is considered the home page of our system, and at the top you click register. And then you would click register for an applicant account, which will ask you for your name, your email address, and to set a password. After you register, you'll receive a confirmation email from the email address you listed to the email address you listed, and it will ask you to confirm the address, and then returns you to the home page of the system where you log in. And then once you're logged in, you'll start the registration of your organization. This is what you will see. This is what you'll see on the home page, and this is in your handout. And it lists all the programs, the grants that are available, and you will register, and then you hit more. And then you continue to follow the prompts. One thing that we really like about this system is you're prompted to do most everything. It's going to show you, hopefully there won't be too much that you have to ramble around in and try to figure out. It will prompt you on most of the functions you need to continue through the system. So when you start the registration, the first section that you will complete is the one where you will put in your organization, your agency, and your application name. This can get a little confusing, but we wanted to make it so that if you are operating under somewhat multiple or large organization, that all of it can be each section of that can be put in. So your organization name is, we've put some examples in here, and that is the organization, of course, the organization that has the authority to actually apply for the funding. Simple through the address. We do want phone numbers. Most of these fields are required. Please fill in all the information that's requested. If it's required, you won't be able to move on to the next section until you fill it in. But we certainly do want organization phone numbers, emails, if you have a website, etc. And then the next section, primary organization administrator, that will default to the person who originally registered. There is a way in the system to add additional users for your organization, and Sandra is going to cover that when we get further on in. But for the initial registration, it will default, the primary organization administrator will default to the person who has registered. And there, like I said, you'll be able to add additional users that can go in and complete parts of the application, and we will get to that. That is done after you register initially. In this section, it'll say to name your application, and you'll enter the name of the agency, organization, or project. As an example, you see above we have the example of the County Sheriff's Department. And then moving on down, in the agency profile, the applicant organization name will automatically come up, and then you can go in and name agency program name if it's different from that, and the applicant project name. A lot of this is to distinguish if you're applying for more than one grant, and a lot of it because you will see these names when you go back into the system. You think anything else on that?
Mm-mm.
If you
explain it a little more when I do the demo.
If you have individual, and you may have some questions about some of these. Like I said, on some of this, it's not required. A lot of this information is not required. We offered it as an option to be more distinguishable. And some organizations have multiple levels within the organization, and so we provided that so that it would be distinguishable. And Sandra, when she goes through her review, will do that. And we can certainly answer some individual questions from you about that. If you have questions as we go along, please type those. You can type those in the chat function, and we'll try to get to them and answer before we get too far away from that particular section. Okay.
You need to share the screen.
Yeah. If you'll give us just a little bit, and we're going with changeover, and Sandra is going to continue with the presentation.
Welcome. Sorry about that. We are learning GoToMeeting every time we use it, so thanks for bearing with us. I do want to thank everybody for being on the call today. I have to say that I've been really excited working with the Office Against Interpersonal Violence in providing this product to you all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this a little quickly, I think, but don't fret because it is very user-friendly, and also we will have this session recorded so you can always go back and look at it. So on your screen, what you see is once you register and you have filled out the organization information and you go back to the home screen, this is what you see. So what you're going to want to do is click to the site. Oh. Is that better? There we go. Okay. So this is what you're going to see. Okay. So when you pull this up, hold on just a minute. I've got some stuff on my screen that I need to close so I can see it. Okay. So when you go and you click on, this is going to be your home screen. This is going to be the name of your agency. Your organization. And these are all the grant programs that you can apply for. I know that they're in a wonky kind of layout, but there's you click on program, pull in alphabetical order for you. I know that we have talked to SurveyMonkey, and there's nothing they can do about that. So the first thing you're going to want to do is, and you're at programs. This is all the programs. When you get ready to just a minute, y'all, sorry. Okay. So if you look here at the top again, you got programs application, and you've got, this is the name of the applicant, Susie Mathis. I want to apply for the, let's just do the VOCA grant. You go here to more, you click on that. It's going to give you some information. When it closes, click here for the grant proposal. Now you want to apply. This is where the system requires that you name each application that you create. It's to help, again, what Jan was saying, to determine and distinguish between not only the grant programs that you're working on, but if your agency has, or your organization has more than one agency applying. It is a required field, so if this doesn't apply to you, your agency, organization, all of that is the same name, then you just enter that. But for purposes of demonstration, I'm going to name this different than the New Hope Victim Center, and I'm just going to call this Shelter Services. It takes just a second, but it's going to pop up. If this is what your application looks like, you got information here. You will see that this particular application has 12 tasks. This may change based on the way I reply to questions, and you'll understand that as we go through. Up here, there's the name of the organization. It will automatically generate you a grant number, and here you'll see shelter services. So let's say this program they have shelter services, and then they have a legal clinic. So they could type in legal clinic, and that way when you look at something very quickly, you can determine the different applications. If you want to print this before you start working on it, you can go right here.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
put yours on mute?
No, I must have hit something. I must have hit something when I moved that.
Okay, and that's it. Well, you are, and see your feedback's coming, the feedback's coming back. So whatever you just did.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, we're going to try something differently. Can you hear me? If a couple of people could type in. Okay, so on this end, we're getting some feedback. Can you hear the feedback? No, okay. So I'm not real sure where I lost y'all, but let's see. Let me go back to users. You can add users down here, add member or team. We just sent a document that was unfortunately left off in the original handout that will walk you through how to add a member. I'm just going to show you real quickly. What you want to do is, well, is you actually go here to start adding members. There it is. Got too much open. Okay. So you'll add a member here. There's lots of steps. I didn't want to get too much into this today, but you do have the handout, and then you can also ask for help through the support line. But what you do is you add the member here under Manage Organization. Then it gives you the option if you want to add a team. Again, it's all in the handout. One thing about users, there's 3 levels of users. There's the primary user who has all of the rights to add users, delete users, make any changes in the application. Then there's the administrator that can do everything but add users or delete users. And then you have the user of the user that can just see the application. Now, I'm going to move on to the application itself. Again, right now it's showing that you have 12 tasks that you have to complete. This may change based on how you answer information. So the first thing you're going to need to do is go into the organization information. And I'm going to demonstrate just a little bit of this for you. While you're working your application, there's always the different tasks here for you to review to see what you have to do or haven't done. the system will automatically populate the organization name. Now remember, I named this program already, and I'm going to do it again. There are very few places in the system that you have to re-enter data, and this is one of them. I mean, there's really less than 5 times that you have to re-enter. The application project name is not required. Some people like that, and so the option is there. On this particular question, and I'm just doing this for demo purposes, if you answer yes, then you will have to answer some other questions based on how you responded. But if you answer no, then you move on. Excuse me. Most of the information is mandatory, so if you don't complete it, it won't be done. I mean, you can't move on. GAMS is a linear process, so that means that you have to complete sections of the application before you can move on. And you'll see that. I'll demonstrate that in just a minute. But to get through this, let me go back up because I want to show you how this looks like. I'll check no there. Drop-down list, you'll see that throughout the system. I'm not going to identify or explain everything here. The grant application does that. I did want to show you, this is throughout the system. Click here for more information on organization, authority, and authorized official. So if you click on it, you're going to get a download. Sorry, y'all. Click on that and it brings this up. And then there's all the information that you need to know about what that section means. One thing that you have to do is you have to give a primary point of contact. Again, I'm moving kind of, whoops, this needs to move. You see it automatically populated your federal ID number. You have to enter your DUNS number. Here is a link to the SAMS registration site. I'm just going to click onto that to show you what it looks like. This just automatically opens up into a link. Indirect cost, let's do a yes on that. And if we do yes, then there's other information that I have to fill out. I'm not going to go into a lot of this. I know I'm probably driving y'all crazy. I want to show you this function next. So if I try to move on to the next page, it's not going to let me do it. It's going to bring me back to the top and tell me to please check my answers. And as you can see, I left a lot of stuff blank. And as I scroll down, it'll tell me, please answer this question, it's required. Okay. Also, if you look over here for this particular task, you'll see that there's a green circle, it's half completed. That means you've started on it, but you haven't completed it. And for demonstration purposes right now, I'm not going to do that. It'll take us way too long. Here is, I want to show you this particular task. It's a form. Y'all probably remember doing that form every year. Well, here it's just in the system. You complete it. And it populates a little bit of stuff in there for you. And Don's number, that's another one of those that we can't get it to repopulate for you. Well, it's not going to let me go on because I haven't saved the data, but I have another application I'm going to show you. I do want to point out, let's look at personnel. So it's going to ask you, are you requesting personnel? Believe it or not, some folks don't. So we're going to say yes. And when it does, it's going to ask for more information. I need to complete this. If I have more than 10 employees, you'll see this throughout the application when it comes to listing stuff. Do you have more to list? And if you say yes, it'll drop down another list for you. This particular task is going to require that you upload job descriptions, resumes, any license or certifications, and also upload a chart. So I'll just demonstrate this for you real quick. This particular upload, it's for job description resumes. I can just do it as a Word document, and I've already got something pulled there, and I'm going to open it. There it is attached. That's the name of it. My organizational chart, I'll upload it. It's actually a spreadsheet. Now, I had this already pulled up so I wouldn't have to hunt and peck for the files. So when you'll have to go browse to find your files. Let me make a change real quick. I'm gonna mark this as no because I want to mark it as complete. And you'll see here now the task shows a green check mark. Now, I told you that this is a linear process, and the linear process only works within each task. Okay, so you can work on your task out of order, and you really need to consider doing some of that. Your SAM upload, you do that, it is one and done. That means you do it on that first application, and every time you go to enter a new application or two applications for the same program, it's there, and I'll demonstrate that for you later. Everyone will be required to submit a letter with their application to submit their application where you have your authorized person to sign it. I did want to point this out to you. You're able to sign on your computer. The touch screens don't work. This particular function, and this is at the SurveyMonkey end, it is inconsistent. It will work for some computers and some it won't. My computer, unfortunately, it doesn't work for, but I'll go ahead and try to demonstrate it for you. Actually, it's working. Oh my gosh. So of course it doesn't look like my signature, but there you go. You have to type in your name, the title, and then the date. It'll give me a little calendar there. And here is the message. In the event it doesn't work on your computer, you can print the form. How do you print it? You go up here, you download, and I just want to download this form so you'll see what's on the form. This was not on the screen, but on the form when you download it, it has the name of the particular agency, the organization, and and then here's the information that's in the task. So if the function doesn't work on your computer, go download it, print it, and then have someone sign it. Then once you do that, you save it as a PDF file, and then you come here and you upload it. My apologies for this, but this is something that we couldn't help. There's only 3 places in the application that you have to sign: the financial capability form, this submission letter, and the certification and assurances form. So let's see. Let me get out of this. Now, I want to show you something else with some tables. And I may not can do it on this one, and I can't. That's because the data is not in there. It's a linear process. Any quick questions right now? Is there a particular internet browser that works best? I don't know. We all use Google, so I don't think it matters. Now, bear with me. I'm going to get out of this so that I can get into another application that's got some data in it. Well, that didn't work. Okay, well, it's going to pull it up. Nah. Okay, so this is a demonstration of an applicant or user that already has some applications in there. So when you pull it up, your home page is going to look like this. It's going to automatically go to your applications. Okay, if you still need to add some other grants, you go to programs. And I always like to put it in alphabetical order, and you go here and you select more. And I'm going to do this because I'm going to show you some of the reusable functions. Again, I have to name the application. I'm just going to name it this. Give it just a second to load. So when this loads, I'm going to show you what's going on here. Previously, under my other applications, oh my gosh.
I think it happens when you download.
Oh.
We're
Okay.
testing the audio again.
Can you hear me? Okay, we think that we're losing the audio whenever I'm demonstrating a download. So I'll remember that. Sorry, I don't know when y'all stopped hearing me, but just to go back, what I'm demoing now is an application that actually has some data in it. So I can show you how these tasks are reusable and how great and wonderful they are. So I previously entered information in the application, the organization authority upload. So not only did it reuse the information, but it actually marked it as complete. So I don't have to do anything for that particular application requirement. The financial capability questionnaire, assurances, civil rights, and SAM upload, they all work the same. They're one and done. Some information is going to be different for every grant application. That's going to be your personnel, your budget summary, and your application submission signature. So you have to redo those. Now, organization information. I'm going to show you how this reusable information works. You just click on it. You'll see this information. You've already entered this information. Do you want to reuse it? And I'm going to say yes. Now, under the organizational information, about 95% of this is reusable, maybe even more. But the system is set so that you are required to go and save each page and then mark it as complete at the end. So this is all the information that I previously entered. Right now, none of this is going to change. Okay. So so far, nothing has changed. Oh, well, let's say for this particular grant, I'm not using indirect cost. So I'll just mark no there. The victims, some of it may change, like this grant may be specific for sexual assault victims. So if you have anything else checked other than sexual assault, you may want to make the edits. But again, most of this information is not going to change. So I have to go all the way to the bottom. I have to click next. So you can see already all the time I saved just doing the second application. History, mission, none of this is going to change. Here is a table, and throughout the system, you'll see different tables. For this particular table, let's see, all this really is not fitting on one screen. So I'm scrolling down, I'm trying to do this a little slower. I want to see the entire table. See, I know there's more information, so I'm going to scroll over here and then see what all this up here. This particular table, you have to go back and forth so you can see everything. That's a SurveyMonkey thing. It's not really ours. This particular table, when you're filling it out, sometimes you don't realize that there's other columns. So you go to mark it complete, and then it pops up and says you haven't completed this table and you can't figure out what's going on. That's because those other columns are hidden. So you got to go unhide them and complete it. As with a lot of our member drop-down list, you can say, yes, I've got more to list, and then it'll drop down some more. Okay, so for this particular grant application, there's not going to be any other changes. So I'm going to do next. The conflict of interest and all this information, you remember this used to be in an attached form for the grants. They're all right here. None of that's going to change. I'm going to do next. Service area description shouldn't change. The counties I've served shouldn't change. I'm going to mark complete. And there it is, complete. If you're going to make any changes with reusable data, it's going to be under your project narrative. I've already got stuff out there, but I want to go ahead and at least add what I've got. Your target population may not change, or the problem you're trying to address may not change, depending on what the grants, qualifications, and eligibility requirements are, and whatever program you're working on. Now, this may change. Your implementation, if you've already got data in there, you just go over it, delete it, cut and paste the new information in there. Put something in there. Some of these questions shouldn't change. The use of volunteers might change. Now, this is going to be new to everybody, so I wanted to particularly look at this. This is your goals, objectives, and activities. Did we lose them? Okay. Here's another one of those links. I'm not going to click on it, but if you click on it, it'll download a page. This was the same thing in your RFP. So when you get ready to fill this section out, it'll ask you how many goals do you have. It's a drop-down list. We only have 5. Right now I have 2 listed, but I'm going to go ahead and list 3. So right here is you put the narrative, response, You know, what is your goal goes here. Then once you finish the goal, you can put objectives. And here I just put just some data just to get through. So you'll put the objective and then you'll put the activity. Your goal, objective, and activity all corresponds. Activities, you can put as many activities as you want. Sometimes, based on applications that have been submitted over the past, some people will have 4, 5, 10 activities in order to complete the objective. So you can put as many activities in this cell. Of course, an activity may be, you know, several words, and you've got 5 or 6, you can't see them. Well, if you want to see them, what you do is there's some little slashes there. You can drop that down so you can see it. Okay. Something else you can do, let's see, I don't have enough data in here, but if the data filled up the entire, let me just do this real quick so you can see. Okay, so if your data is more than what's in the cell, then this slide bar will come and you can see it. Now, when you go to print this, you'll be able to see everything, but when you're in the system on the screen, you can't. One thing too, I forgot to mention, is that you can cut and paste from a Word document into this. It's great. One thing that we are recommending to you all, you don't have to do it, but it does make it easier, is if you work on the body and your narrative responses, even your objectives and activities, if you work on them in a Word document, you can help do the word counts, which we'll talk about in a minute. You can also, you know, you can see it all on one screen. You can edit it a whole lot easier. You get it done, you cut and you paste, and it's here. For a lot of the narrative, like your history, your mission, things like that, once you put it in there, those are kind of one and done too, not just for all of the grants this year that you're working on, but unless you change your mission statement, that's all going to be the same for your next year's grant. So you'll be able to not only reuse data this year, but next year as well. Whoops, I forgot. So we're asking for a projected completion date of when you'll finish this particular objective. For ongoing grants, like let's say shelter services, the completion date's probably going to be, you know, at the end of the grant period. If you're hiring a new staff to do a new project and to initiate that, your completion date will be sooner than the end of the grant period. Okay, so now here's the goal 2. The same concept, you know, you see I've got different numbers of activities in there. And then when I selected 3, this popped up. And I'm going to have to enter some data in here so I can move on. And I want to go to next. Whoops, see, I got a message, so I didn't do something. Again, the project narrative information is reusable, but when it comes to the goals and objectives and the implementation, that is going to change. So I'm scrolling down to figure out what I left off. It was probably something in that goal 3. Oh, I know what it was. No, that's not it. Oh. And that question is required. The date fields are all set, required to all be consistent. You know, that's just these automated systems. Evaluation plan. See, my evaluation plan's probably not going to change. And my sustainability is probably not going to change. So whatever I put in my other application, it's the same, and I'm going to mark it as complete. So there we go. Once I've entered all that information in the first application, I should move through the second one's a lot quicker. I wanted to show you this upload. This is an upload function. Some folks like to use graphs and tables in their problem statement, or maybe even explaining their implementation process. Because you cannot cut and paste tables into the system, we have a function for you to actually upload that. And in the narrative part, you can just say refer to the table or the graph attached. And that way, this is an optional field. You're not required to do it, but we wanted to give that option to folks who use that in their applications. Now, I'm going to go back. Oh, I want to go back to an application that has been submitted. We're under the same applicant, but I'm going to view it. You'll see that all the tasks are completed. Once they were completed, I hit submit. And when I do, it gives me the chance to review it. And let's see if I can get it. Oh, I don't want to download it. Once you submit an application, you'll be able to view the entire application and most of the attachments that you've put on there. And then you can save it or download it. Now, once you submit an application, you cannot make any edits. You can't edit this at all. But let's get to this, back to one of these applications. You see this, it's marked as complete, but I can still go in and make changes because I haven't submitted the application. So I'll pull it up and I say edit. I will tell you in the edit function, this is all, it's a Survey Monkey thing. It takes you to the very last form. So you got to go to the back, you got to go to the bottom, hit previous, 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 until you get to the particular page you want to make the edit. It's a little cumbersome, but it's there. I wanted to go back up to anytime you enter money figures into GAMS, do not use a comma. So if you're getting errors when you're trying to enter amounts, it's probably because you're trying to enter a comma. Okay. This is fast, and I've probably lost some of you all. I have to say that it really is user friendly. It contains, you know, a lot of the same questions that's been in the RFP for these past years. We've kind of rearranged some of the questions. We do have a strict word count, which actually is a little bit more than the 20 pages that you were held to the last, previous grants. So the word counts are listed in, let's see if I can find a narrative response. Here you go. Right here, word limit. When it comes to a narrative response, it's going to let you know. We believe that we have allowed enough space. You have to remember that in the past, you were limited to pages that were double spaced. The word limits that are provided in GAMS is based on single space. So if you see something that says 600 words, you're like, oh gosh, that's nothing. Well, 600 words, remember, is not double spaced paged. It is single space with standard, 1-inch margins. I do have some frequently asked questions.
Okay.
We do have some larger programs that fund several different agencies. There are a couple of different alternatives that we have discussed, or OAV has discussed. So there's only 2 or 3 programs that this really affects, so I'm not going to really get into all the detail. But if you have any questions, because I know there's some concern that all the information and be able to answer all the questions for the many different programs won't fit. That's okay. They've discussed some alternatives. You can, if you want to talk about this more or explore some of the options, you can just email the support line. Give me a second. I wanted to kind of go over my notes, make sure I didn't forget anything. Talking about when you get started. I know it's a backtracking, but we do ask that everybody gets started on their grants as soon as possible, especially if you're doing several grants. This is a new application. This is basically a new RFP. So we want to make sure that you all have the time to be able to utilize this system. We do have a new budget form, and we're still working on it. The goal is to get it out by Friday afternoon. And what will happen is that form will be uploaded onto the health department website. You'll go out there and just grab it and download it and save it and work on it. When you're done, you will then upload that file into GAMS. Again, our goal is to get it out by Friday. And we apologize for the delay in that, but it is a form that has a lot of calculation and macros, and so it's not easy to just go in and make a simple change. Let's see. I do have some frequently asked questions, and I thought I would move on to that. Then we can open it up for questions. So one of the questions is, how do I get help? Jan, do you want to Jan, do you want to go back to the handout on the screen? So if you look at your handout on page 5, how do I contact help? Oh, wait a minute. Here's the help button right here. Sorry about that. Okay. So if you click question 1, that's an email that's going to go to the OAIV support. If you click here, this is going to bring you to, and I hate to do it because we may lose sound again. That's going to bring you to SurveyMonkey's help. It's a web page where you can go in. It's got frequently asked questions, or you can go in and type in a search into the search. And then if you're having technical issues with the site, you have to go through SurveyMonkey for a request. And I think their turnaround's pretty quick.
And on the need help with using SurveyMonkey Apply, there are several sections in there or areas where there will be articles it might take you to. They're even like demonstrations, videos that are not specific to our system, but specific to SurveyMonkey Apply. And so it could be a little confusing, but we ask that you attempt to use those and look through some of the tutorials and different articles and things that it offers, prior to contacting us for help. Because it could be something very simple that SurveyMonkey Apply can explain. And then if you're having technical issues, of course, there are going to be times that the health system could be down for some reason. But those are, these health systems are all email based. So you will need to send an email and someone will get back with you as soon as possible.
Yeah, and the OAIV support is, just the standard work week, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. It is just, to help answer simple questions. And, if you have a question about the RFP stuff, it'll go to one staff to answer, or, how do I print? I forgot how to print, that'll go to another staff person. But the goal is to respond within a day. The technical, the support that you can get from the SurveyMonkey staff, they have their hours posted. But it's not
longer. It's not just 8 to 5.
It's 7 to 7, I think.
It's a 12-hour.
Yeah. So, so it's not 24/7 assistance. So I have on there too how to print a blank copy of the application. I've demoed that for you. It is kind of a long document when you print the whole application, but you can do that. You also can print a particular stage of the application, and it demonstrates how to do that. How to add multiple users. You have a handout on that. If that gets a little too complicated, just let the OAIV support line, I'll probably be the one helping you with that. And how to navigate the tables. So I think I did want to say that this system has been tested by other there's a question, are there formatting options, numbering, bullets, indent in the answer blocks? I don't think it works very well. I haven't really tested that. But if you do a cut and paste, it probably will work. Yeah, that's something I can certainly test and look at. So let's see, where was I? Oh yeah, so we've had some other sub-grantees to test this for us and have given their input. I think we've pretty much incorporated all that we could. Some things were limited because SurveyMonkey can't do. So the goal is to make this a user-friendly product, a product that will help both the sub-grantee and OAIV. This is new. This is the first time. So there may be some kinks. We hope that we've got most of them worked out, but you may run across something that we just haven't duplicated. But the good news is this year there will be a lot of data entry. But again, once you do it, a lot of it is one and done. And if it's not one and done, a lot of it is reusable. There's just a few things that you can't reuse, the budget being one. Goals and objectives being another. Let's see, another question. Are you going to go over or discuss uploading the application for submission? No, actually, let me show you if I can get back. I'm still on the screen, yeah. Let's see, I gotta go to my applications. I'm gonna show you this. I don't have it. Let's see, I've got. Once all of your little circles have a green check in them, that means you've completed everything. This review and submit button will be activated. And then you hit that. You hit submit, and what it'll do at that point is it'll bring up the complete application with attachments for you to actually review it online. And if there's some other questions, let's see how long this will take me to. Yeah, this may take too long to. I was going to try to demonstrate it for you, but I really have to. It's going to take too long to try to do that. But it's very simple. The thing I like is how it brings up how you can review it right there. Even when you bring it up, you can print it and review it, or you can review it on the screen, because at that point, you'll be able to see everything. You know, those graphs or those tables where you couldn't see the whole thing, you'll see it when it gets to that stage. Any other questions? This workshop will be repeated January the 7th. You're more than welcome to attend that, but you know, I might say a few different things. Jan might say a few different things, but it's basically going to be the same.
And we will make the recording of this and that session available online in the next few days.
Mm-hmm. So as soon as we hang up, you'll be able to go in and register. And once you register, you'll get an email. You have to confirm your email. Then you can go register your organization and you're ready to go. You can start messing with the system then, or entering data. Can you, wait a minute, whoop, there was a question before that.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Can you review it before you review and submit if you want to make changes? Yes, you can review it. And once you review it, don't hit submit. You just go back to your task. Even if the task is marked complete, you can click on it. Here's one right here. I'll show you. Project narrative. See it showing complete, marked as complete. Click on it. Go up here. Edit. It's going to reopen it for me. Remember what I said? It's taking you to the very last page of the step. So you got to go down here and you got to back up to whatever page you want to make the change. The same goes with the uploads. If you want to, if you changed your upload and you want to, let's say it's the match source verification, although I'm not sure, this is not an upload. You actually fill this out here. If your organization is requesting a VOCA match waiver, then you have to do an upload. You upload the file. You go and you navigate into your files. I've got one here already opened, and you upload it to let you know right there the name of the file. I can't mark that complete. I don't think it would. It's not going to complete it. Okay. The RFP review. Okay, I'm missing the question. Oh, you responded?
Yes, I'm asking her. Nobody can see that but her.
Oh.
One last week was I'm on mute. One last week was up, and I'm asking her. Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna give her I'm gonna send her.
Okay. Any other questions? A reminder that the budget form is supposed to be on the website Friday the 20th. This new form will be everything in one Excel spreadsheet. It'll have instructions, the budget summary, a match calculator, a indirect calculator or indirect cost calculator, and the form is designed where you fill in the expense, and then right under that you fill in the project narrative. So you're not dealing with two separate budget forms when it comes to that. The other great thing is the budget summary. You don't have to enter anything. The system, the form will populate that information into the budget summary. Well, I guess we're on time, a little bit late. Reminder that we do have some upcoming webinars. Refer to the RFP, and it'll show you that. Okay. We have a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions or wants me to demonstrate something. If you want to, and you want to stay on, go ahead. If you've had enough of me and want to go start working on the system, I guess we'll go ahead and give everybody a few minutes to go ahead and log off. Is that it? Thank you for attending. Jan, anything? Oh, I do have a reminder that you do need to log in because OAIV has made this mandatory. We need to know what agency you're with. So if you've just put your name, you need to put your name and your agency. And this is how we will be taking roll call, or we'll be doing it for OAIV. Don't forget to log in the chat box. Sign in the chat box. Okay, so we'll give everybody a chance to go ahead and get off if they don't have any questions or don't want to see any other demos.
When will this recording session be available?
Tomorrow, today, tomorrow.
We'll try to have this recording available, what's today, Monday, no later than Wednesday. Today's Tuesday, sorry. We'll get it on by Thursday for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I will
Okay, y'all, there's just a handful of folks still left on the phone. If you want to, if you plan to stay on the phone for some more demo or questions, can you please just respond in the chat box? Thanks.
Can you hear me?
Did she figure it out? Georgia.